Hello and welcome to Entertainment Update, your brand new podcast for everything in the entertainment industry. From movies to TV shows to video games, we will be covering it all right here. My name is Marcus, and today I am also joined by your co-host, Ben.
Hi.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about Snapchat AI, multiplayer games, and Ubisoft. But first, we're going to be covering the biggest news in video games this week, which is, of course, the Microsoft Activision deal. So, for those that don't know, the Microsoft Activision deal is something that's been in the works for a very long time, and it has been a bone of contention amongst video gamers and also just tech alike. Lots of people have been discussing whether this should go through or not, as it is one of the largest acquisitions ever, sitting around 68 billion US dollars, which is an incredible amount to pay for one gaming company. Now, in my own personal opinion, I didn't want the deal to go through just because I think that it was anti-consumer and pro-monopoly. And it seems that the Competition Markets Authority has agreed with me on this one. And basically what was going to happen is Microsoft were going to buy Activision, and that meant that they would have control over all of their games, obviously the most notable being Call of Duty. And there have been several other games, such as Overwatch, World of Warcraft, which are, again, massive franchises in and of themselves, and Diablo as well, just to name a few. Now, the biggest issue with this was that not only would Microsoft have control of Activision, but they would also have the right to make them exclusive. That was one of the largest issues. However, a couple weeks before the final report was announced, the CMA, so the Competition Markets Authority in the UK, they actually stated that they had no issue with it, and they didn't think that Microsoft were going to go and make all the Activision games exclusive, which is one thing that I think most people on social media platforms, i.e. Twitter, have been forgetting about, because it's not about the exclusive and the PlayStation versus Xbox debate anymore. But the reason why it was rejected is simply because Microsoft have 60 to 70% of cloud gaming already in their pocket, and the Competition Markets Authority are afraid that Microsoft would in fact get to take all of that money and really push forward with their cloud gaming service. And that means that you wouldn't have to have a console. You could play it on your phone, on your TV, on your PC, obviously on your Xbox, but there are so many things that they could do. And right now their largest competitor is Amazon, and that is a big issue because only Amazon and Microsoft really have the money to pull this off, and Google do, but Stadia failed, so there's now a massive gap in the market which Microsoft could potentially fill. I think I have covered everything. So I'm going to put the question out to you then, Ben. Do you think that Microsoft buying Activision in any way, not just the cloud gaming aspect, but do you think that Microsoft having control of Call of Duty and all these other high-profile games is something that should be allowed to happen?
No, because that would just mean Xbox would get exclusivity to all the games. All right, they probably would be able to do it to forever, but they would get early release and stuff like that, which I feel like is unfair to the PlayStation players.
Yeah, I mean, what we've got to remember as well, though, is like, I get what you're saying about the early release, which I think a timed exclusive, when you're paying 68 billion for something, I think a timed exclusive would be something that I would be willing to accept as a compromise, but I still wouldn't like favorably.
I wouldn't be opposed to like a year exclusivity, but any more than that, then it would be kind of unfair.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm trying to hold us to the same standard. As much as I love PlayStation, I'm not gonna try to be hypocritical. Like, PlayStation are known for having timed exclusives, and also PlayStation used to get map packs, like multiplayer map packs, 30 days early. But what you've also got to remember is when they used to get those map packs 30 days early, that was because PlayStation and the Xbox servers were their own thing. Like, crossplay wasn't a thing yet. So that's kind of stopped in recent years. And now it really is just kind of its own, like it is a bit complicated now, because Sony have a lot of like the advertising rights to Call of Duty at the moment, but that is obviously going to change with Activision wanting to be bought out by Microsoft. It's a massive thing, and I think Microsoft claim that they wouldn't make it exclusive because it wouldn't be financially viable, as most of their player base is on PlayStation. And one thing that they're arguing is that if Call of Duty did become exclusive, then that would also force other companies to create more first-person shooters. And I mean, we saw with EA Medal of Honor. Like, Medal of Honor used to be a massive game, and then EA stopped making it because Call of Duty killed it. And there are other games that were labeled Call of Duty killers, but never quite achieved the same success. So do you think that if hypothetically, if Call of Duty became an exclusive, do you think that would force Sony or other companies like EA to either create new or reboot existing IPs?
Yeah, I feel like they would, because they need to keep up with the times, and then because obviously if Call of Duty does become exclusive, other companies would like be forced to make it, so other players on other consoles could feel like they had some more games to play.
So moving on to our next topic then, Snapchat AI. You seem to know a lot more about this than I do, so would you like to explain what it is and your experiences with it?
So this is quite a new thing to the Snapchat community. It was only released early this week, and people have still been getting it only a couple of days ago. I only got mine last night. And it's basically your virtual companion. You can ask it things. You can say, I'm bored, and it'll give you things to do. If you ask it to write a song, it'll write you a song. It even knows your location, which is kind of scary. And it's actually pretty in-depth with the responses and stuff like that. Like earlier, I asked it, because it asked what I was doing today. So I said I was doing a podcast with my mate. And the response was, that sounds really cool. What's your podcast about? And I said, gaming news. And the AI said, awesome. I'm not really into gaming, but I'm sure there's loads of people who would love to hear about the latest news in that world. Have fun recording your episodes. Which I just think that it's actually kind of cool that Snapchat have created something like that, which has a brilliant range of vocabulary to use.
Dude, that's actually kind of scary.
It is. But it's kind of impressive at the same time.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm currently, I haven't got it yet. So when you were messaging me earlier saying about it, I went to go on Snapchat and check, and I haven't got it, which is sad. But oh my God, like I've been using ChatGPT, which is obviously the hot thing in AI at the moment. And obviously you and a couple of our friends have been receiving random messages from me, which are actually AI generated, usually a poem or a song. And I love tricking the AI into just being stupid and saying dumb things. That's about all I've used the AI for. On ChatGPT itself, I asked it to explain to me legal principles. So for those that don't know, I'm currently studying law, and I'm going to go on to study law further. And I asked it to explain self-defense and other cases to me, relating to self-defense. And then I gave it this really detailed scenario about self-defense, and I asked it whether the defense would apply. And it explained to me in such really, really good detail. And then I gave it cases, and I said, apply this case to the scenario. You know what? It applied the case to the scenario, which is actually really blooming scary. I think that ChatGPT doesn't talk that much like a human. So for Snapchat AI to talk like a human,
yeah, it's actually impressive. Like the devs have obviously taken time to program it and all its responses.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, it's not programmed. Like obviously, it comes up with its own responses. Like it knows what it wants to say because that's just the way it is. But like it's not programmed in the traditional sense, but it is loosely programmed. If you catch my drift.
Yeah, it's also just it's recognized because I've just while you've been talking about that, I've been exploring it more. I've taken pictures of I've got like a wall of bottles I collect, and it said looks like you've got quite a collection there. Any favourites? I'm just like, how does it know what it is that quick?
Bro, that is actually scary. Like I can genuinely like we can have the AI take over the world debate another day, but I do genuinely think that AI has reached a point where it's quite hard to tell. I mean, have you been hearing the AI generated like voice clips where like presidents so you got Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama, and they're all playing video games together, like playing Minecraft. Have you seen those videos? Yeah, but it's so scary how it actually sounds like them. Yeah, what it is like they'll plug in loads of different speeches done by the presidents, which is why it sounds so good because it has a lot of voice to sample. And then it'll listen to all of those speeches, and then it'll recreate the voice based on like all of those speeches and interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
Which to me is just incredible.
yeah. I think it is. Like, as you said earlier, in 3 or 4 years' time, it will be everywhere. It will take over the world.
It really will. But I mean, I saw this AI generated pizza advert on Reddit the other day, and I will admit it was awful. It was awfully funny, but it was still awful. And I think when it comes to video AI and doing something totally independently, it has a long way to go. But in terms of voices and sounding human, it really does work.
As time goes on, it's only going to get better. So if we think this is good now, what's it going to be like in 2 years' time?
Let's move on then to our Song of the Week. So Song of the Week is a little segment we're going to be doing every episode. And basically, Ben and I are picking our favorite song that we have been listening to this week, and we are just going to share it with you all. And then what's going to happen is all of these are going to be compiled into one long Spotify playlist, which will keep getting added to every single week. And of course, we'll also make a YouTube playlist for you to listen to as well, if you'd like to check out any of these songs. We haven't been paid to promote these songs. These are just songs that we genuinely enjoy. So, Ben, your song is first up.
The song that I've chosen to is a song which I really like. It's featured in a couple of TV shows I've watched, but it is Bells in Santa Fe by Halsey. I really like it. It's a nice upbeat song. It's one of my top 10 songs, I would say.
Fair enough. And you were saying that it was in You, correct?
Yeah, it was in You, the Netflix TV show in season 4. Don't know what episode, but yeah.
You is a brilliant TV show, by the way, if no one's seen it. Obviously, Ben and I both have. Brilliant TV show, highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And my song is Head on Fire by Griff and Sigrid. Now, I'm a sucker for this kind of song. There's something about it that's really melodic, but it's also very, like, charged. Is the only way I can describe it. It has a good beat to it, and it is quite a powerful song, and I could just listen to it over and over and over again. It is just so good. Honestly, the song, the first time I heard it, I'm currently at a stage now where I'm really exploring things on Spotify. Like, I've started to get bored with my usual music, and I've gone out and started exploring. And I heard Head on Fire, and I was immediately hooked. Like, just such a good song. Highly recommend. And so both of those songs will be available for you in a Spotify playlist and, of course, a YouTube playlist as well for those of you that are watching over there. So on to our third topic then, which is Ubisoft. So Ubisoft are a multi-million dollar company, if not billion. I'm not too sure on that though. And of course, they have made a plethora of games, but recently I learned that they are shutting down a severely underrated game, and I'm pretty sure it's all their fault. So, Ben, you and I both have played a Rainbow Six Extraction, which is just an incredible game. And it's incredible because it takes these aspects of Siege and turns it into a really solid PvE game. But I think you can agree with me when you say that after a while, it really does start to get boring.
Yeah, it does. But all right, it does get boring after a while. But they don't need to go and shut the servers down. Like, it's not even that old of a game. It's what, 2 years old, if that?
Yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily shutting the servers down, but they are stopping development. Yeah, which is obviously a precursor to shutting the servers down. I mean, just look what happened to Anthem.
Yeah.
Not Ubisoft, but still Anthem. Yeah, like Rainbow Six Extraction is just not getting any more content updates, and it's been about a year, maybe two, and it's really upsetting because the entire game came about as a spin-off from the Outbreak event, and it was something that everyone wanted, but for some reason Ubisoft never really seemed to want to give it a fighting chance. Like, they did, in fairness, reduce the price after the initial tests because people said that it was too expensive for what it is. But I think overall it was a really solid game. I just think that Ubisoft didn't give it the love and care it needed, nor did it give it the right advertising. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I would. Because I feel like it was sort of like a filler game because they're developing their new Division game at the moment. But yeah, I feel like it was sort of just a filler game. But for a filler, for a filler game, I'm going to call it, it was actually very good.
Yeah, and obviously with it incorporating a lot of the elements of Siege, like it really got me hooked because I love Siege with a passion, but sometimes I can't be bothered to deal with its player base. And yeah, Extraction was just a really solid entry. But once, like, they haven't added any new map, which I'm really annoyed about. Like, they have the potential to add new maps and new things, but instead they added new operators and a couple of events which are basically just copy and pasted, which I feel bad like slagging off the game in terms of its developers. And I don't necessarily think it is actually the developers' fault. I think a lot of it is just management saying, well, it's not got the reception we wanted, therefore it's not worth my time, which I completely get. But at the same time, I think it's their fault that it didn't succeed in the first place. It's like they never wanted it to succeed.
It's not the first time they've done this with certain games. Like, we can cover this more in a bit, but they did the similar thing with the Wildlands, another game made by Ubisoft.
Yeah, that game, oh man, that is my favorite Ubisoft game to date, and it's really annoying because you and I both love our platinum trophies, don't we?
Yes.
But as as we both know, trying to platinum Wildlands is an impossible task, as Ubisoft have had this game out for years and years and years.
It's 2017,
yet,
I think.
Yeah, 2017. 6 long years, and they still haven't fixed the trophies, and they have been bugged since day one, which means that despite me going around the entire map and getting every single collectible that is available, I still haven't got the trophy popping. The legends for the documents, for the weapons cases, for the all, like, it's just stupid. The amount of time that you and I have spent on the collectibles only for it to not pop, and to find out that it is a very common issue that Ubisoft are aware about but refuse to do anything about. Like, I think you can agree that it is just heartbreaking.
It is. Because like you said earlier, it is a brilliant game, but all it needed was, updates, bug fixes, and then it would have probably become one of the best games to date made by Ubisoft.
I know one of my other friends as well that I used to talk to quite a bit. She also thought that Wildlands was just an incredible game, and it has a lot of love. That game is loved by a lot of people, and that's why I think it was also more heartbreaking when Breakpoint failed completely.
Yeah, it did fail at start, but I will say I have played it and it is redeemed itself, I would say. Still for Wildlands over Breakpoint, but it's not as bad as it was.
I think as well, it's really sad that Breakpoint isn't as popular, because I think that it's really, like, it should be up there with multiplayer campaigns. And I think this goes really nicely into our next topic about multiplayer games, because I think there aren't enough multiplayer games these days in terms of online co-op. Like, I don't know about you, but I love playing co-op campaigns, but I don't think there's enough of them. The reason why we have Wildlands is because we started playing Wildlands because we wanted a game to play together that isn't a shoot 'em up multiplayer, and that actually has some degree of like tactical realism to it. And so we got Wildlands, we played Wildlands, and then we were going to move on to Breakpoint. I haven't got Breakpoint yet, but I've got Borderlands, and I think beyond the Ghost Recon games and Breakpoint, I really don't think there is much in terms of multiplayer co-op games, like campaign-wise.
Yeah, there isn't really much, actually, is there? I mean, there's some here and there, but they're just not very good.
Which ones in particular do you not think are that good?
We've got Avengers, which I don't mind, but you have different opinions on that one.
Oh, yes.
Dying Light 2 specifically. I know you've not played it, but I would much rather play Dying Light 1 campaign co-op any day over the second one. And then we've got the Saints Row games. All right, some of the Saints Row games are actually pretty good, except for the last couple. There's Goat Simulator, which I wouldn't really class it as a campaign, more of you complete objectives.
Which game's that?
Goat Simulator.
Oh, yeah, Goat Simulator. Yeah, see, Goat Sim is a brilliant game, and I just love it for the pure chaos, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily a campaign game, as you say. It's more
objective,
complete objectives. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many good like single player campaigns, but if they were, multiplayer, they could become brilliant games. Like some of the Resident Evils, if those were multiplayer, they would sell loads more copies than what they have. Same with I know some Call of Duty campaigns in the past have been multiplayer, but if some of them were the newer ones, they'd make loads of money out of them. They'd just make more. But that's just my opinion.
I 100% agree. That was a point I was actually going to bring up about Black Ops 3 had such a god awful campaign, but at least it was multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I love being able to play multiplayer campaigns with Call of Duty, but I don't think there has been one since Black Ops 3.
I don't think there has.
Think Black Ops 4 was just an entirely multiplayer game.
The greatest campaign ever.
Absolutely. It was such a... it just makes me laugh that they went, yeah, so no one plays our campaign, so we're just going to release a game without one. And then everyone collectively turned around and was like, what do you mean, mate? We all love playing the campaign.
Yeah.
So Call of Duty campaigns recently haven't had multiplayer. Not since Black Ops 3, and that has been a long time since.
2015 or 2013?
Probably 2013. It's
been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time since. A properly long time. So, yeah, I think that draws our episode to a close. If you would like to see more of us, you can go find us over on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at ENT_update with another underscore. You can also check us out over on Spotify at Entertainment Update. I would just like to thank Ben for joining me today. Thank you very much, Ben.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And we will be sure to keep these episodes quite regular now. We have finally got round to posting, which is nice. It has been almost a year since I finished my last podcast. Of course, we had a various lineup of different hosts, but this time we are trying to keep it a little more simplified with just me and Ben. And we have been promising this episode for a while, but we are finally here. So thank you everyone for watching and listening. And don't forget that you can also find our Song of the Week playlist down in the description, with both a link to the YouTube playlist and the Spotify playlist too. And of course, if you'd like to just listen to the individual songs, they are also linked in the description as well. So I would just like to thank everyone for watching and listening, and we shall see you next week. I have been Marcus.
I have been Ben.
And this has been your Entertainment Update.